Howdy, folks. Today's video, we're going to talk about the different variants of the 300 series by Origin. Great little ships. Everything I have to complain about from the 100 series, it seems like they fixed a lot of it when they upgraded to the 300. Before we get into it, a little bit of housekeeping. I'm working on quite a few different videos right now. Next up is going to be a Freelancer variant video. I'm also going to be doing a Constellation variant video and a single seat fighter comparison / buyer's guide, kind of, some of the differences in those particular ships. Please like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. The channel's growing, and I can only thank you guys for that. The rate of growth has been outstanding, and it's very rewarding, to me, when I get in there and I see that there's a few more people subscribing every day. That means a lot to me. All right, well, let's dig into the 300 series by Origin. So you'll notice right away they are very good looking ships. One thing I will say about all Origin ships is they have an aesthetic, they stick to it, and it is definitely pleasing to the eye. For a bit of comparison, the 100s are over there, much smaller. Let's look at the interior. There's subtle variations on each of the interiors, but they're all pretty similar in a lot of ways. You enter through a side door on each of the ships. The color coding on the interior matches the exterior colors, which I actually kind of like. I'm not a huge fan of the matte white on the 300i, but the interior looks very nice. The bed, nice and cozy. There's a weapon rack. You got some wine glasses for fancy folks. There's a non-functional closet there. There's a kitchenette, a little refrigerator. Small details matter. These are luxurious ships after all. There's a bathroom, although I don't believe there's a shower. The glass is actually great for the pilot. And that's pretty much the interior. Let's pop out and show you the cargo hold. So that's how you open the cargo hold. There's a front and a rear. You can store some SCUs worth of anything, salvage too included. It's kind of a pain. Or I guess we just look for the button. I'll come clean. I don't use these ships all that often, although I am starting to really like the next in line, the 315P. This is the Pathfinder Explorer variant. Interior's pretty much the same, just a different color scheme. But it has 12 SCU of storage. And it's actually a great little gopher ship. So kind of like a daily driver. If you got to get from one system to another to connect with buddies or something, it's actually a great little ship to do that in, because it's fairly fast. It flies well, can defend itself, and it's got that storage. So if you need to carry some cargo back and forth for a buddy, doing salvage, that's a great option. The next up is the 325A. This is the combat specific variant. Now, there's no bay underneath it that I can tell. I mean, oh, okay, we do have the rear. So it can still carry a little bit of cargo, but it has no front bay like the 315 or the 300i. It's a little bit better armed, as you can tell just by looking at it. I mean, it looks meaner, and I'll be honest, I really love the paint on it. The last of the 300 series is the 350R. Now, this is the racing variant. I'm not entirely sure why it looks like my ship's been scraped. It was a fresh claim. It still has a little bit of cargo capacity. I mean, it's obviously the fastest of the bunch, given it's a racing ship. And the color scheme on it, I really like that black and gold. One of the downsides for the 350R versus the other three in the 300 series is that it only has 3,000, so less than a third of the hull HP of the other variants of the 300 series. Let's talk about cost real quick. So the 300i is $60 standalone. That is $10 more than the 100i. It's the same price as a 125A, and it is a vastly superior ship in virtually every way. Quick note on all of the 300 series, and it shares this problem with the 100 series. The wings are still pretty weak, and most of your weaponry is mounted on the wings, so if they're shot off, you're going to have a huge firepower decrease. However, you do still have the chin gun to defend yourself with, unlike the 100 series where once the wings are gone, you got to run. The 315P is $65 on the RSI page. The 325A is $70, and the 350R suffers from the specialty tax. It's $125. In-game, you can purchase all these in-game. The 300i is $767,200 Alpha UEC, so it's actually cheaper than a 125A to buy in-game. All of these are sold at Astro Armada in Area 18. The 315P is $882,600 Alpha UEC. The 325A is $944,200 Alpha UEC. And once again, the 350R has that specialty tax, so it's $1,602,100. And what I mean by specialty tax, as you folks dig into different ships as you're moving up in the game, you're going to notice ships that are specialized for specific tasks, for whatever reason, cost significantly more than a lot of their competition. The only one of these that's rentable in-game is the 300i. I mean, it's nice to be able to rent it and try it out. A little bit about the stats. The 300, 315, and 325 all have a fairly strong hull HP of 9,650, so that's on par with like a Gladius or an Arrow. So it's not super fragile. I mean, they're not going to take a beating and stay in the fight, but at the same time, they're not just going to fall apart either. The shields for all four of them clock in at 3,000 HP on the stock configuration. The DPS is a little all over the place. For the 300i and the 350R, the stock DPS is 1,403. For the 315P, stock DPS is the lowest at only 628. And then on the combat variant, the 325A, your stock DPS is 1,660. Much like the 100 series, the 300 series SCM speeds are kind of all over the place, but not super spread out till you get to that 350R. The 300i clocks in at 204 for that SCM speed, 315 at 210, 325A at 225, and then you get to the 350R, and it's actually one of the highest SCM speeds for racing ships at 258. Max speeds scale with cost. Your 300i's max speed's 1,188 meters a second. 315's is 1,223. 325A's is 1,235. And then the 350R is 1,347. Blazing fast. Some notes about the ships in general. I wanted to hate them because I'm a value-driven buyer, as I've said in a few of my other videos. And you know, looking at these on paper, I couldn't see the value, and then I flew the 315 for a couple days as my get-around ship, and I fell in love with it. I'm actually using that 315 quite a bit to cart around system. It's got a reasonably low claim time, which is actually going to get brought back down again. They're all going to get brought back down again closer to the original values, hopefully with the 319.1 release. I like the way they all fly. They all fly great. That is a trademark for Origin ships, is you're going to get a ship that is fairly maneuverable within its class. They look stellar. If you've watched my 100i video, I talk about how it looks to me like somebody took a 300 series and just squished it like a pancake. But the 300 actually looks good. I mean, I think it has great lines. I actually kind of like that cowling at the top. They fly great. Just fantastic little ships. Of the bunch, I would recommend the 315 if you're looking for a versatile ship to move up from a starter ship. You know, that's a great place to start. It's not terribly expensive. It's very flexible. Can do quite a bit for you if you're not quite wanting to grind up for, you know, a Cutlass Black or a Freelancer. And if you're wanting to get into specialty things, the 350R is actually pretty reasonably priced for a racer. I mean, it's not the most expensive racer, but its stat line makes it very competitive with the other racing ships. And I mean, like all the Origin ships, it flies great. All right, well, this has been my buyer's guide for the 300 series by Origin. Great little ships. If you like them, grab them. If I said anything you don't like that stinks, send me a comment, let me know. If I left anything out about them, I've flown the 300i quite a bit and the 315 quite a bit. I haven't spent a whole lot of trigger time on the 325 because the wings kept getting shot off. It just doesn't match my fighting style. But I've seen people do some pretty impressive things in them. Before I head out, I'm going to make sure I mention, please hit that like and subscribe button if you like what I'm doing. Hit those comments. Let me know. If you've got notes for how I could improve, hey, send them. I want to make content that's fun, it's engaging, and it's informative for my audience. And I'm working hard on doing that. This has been Eyes of Heimdall, and I look forward to seeing you all out there in the verse.